Hi guys, it's 9th of September 2016. This is a demo installation guide for Statar version 4.0 Opulent. I'm also going to install the real-time correlation indicator as well. I'm going to move pretty quickly through this, so this is really a guide for existing customers who are familiar with the FX Algo Trader installation process. So you're going to be sent an email which will allow you to log into the FX Algo Trader license management system. So the real-time correlation tool's under the standard MT4 installers, and it's a standard installation process. So you just go to the real-time correlation icon, click it, save the zip file, and then once that's basically verified, open it up, and you've got this FXA correlation setup. Go and run that, click next in the installer, accept the license agreement, and then enter the MT4 data folder here. If you're not sure where that is, go to MT4, go to File, open data folder, and you'll see this Windows Explorer window pop up. Right click in this bar up here and say copy address as text. So you right click, select copy address as text, left click, go to the installer window, and then you can obviously just right click and paste that copied address into there. Click next, click install, click finish, and that's the correlation indicator installed. I'm also going to install the Opulent Statar version 4.0 system, so I go to hybrid JFX installers, scroll down to the bottom, same thing again, click on the little mechanic link, save the zip file, and then open that up. If you're not sure what zip file to use, I use 7-zip, which you can Google. That's free, much better than WinRAR and all that crap. And now we've got our Statar version 4 Opulent setup JFX. Run that. Same procedure. Install into the MT4 data folder. Finish. Open MT4. Go to new chart. And open up the navigator and go into the navigator, right click in here and click refresh. That'll update all the things we've just installed. And there's let's do the correlation tool first. Okay, now hold your horses, because you need to make sure you've installed Java, and you need to install the correct version of Java. So go to Start, go to Computer, right click on your computer icon, click Properties, and find out what kind of computer you've got. I know that sounds a bit silly, but some people don't know what operating system they're running. So it says down here, system type 64-bit operating system. So if you haven't installed Java, you go to java.com, and don't click this free Java download just yet. Just if you're a 64-bit operating system user, go to this download button here, scroll down to see all Java downloads and download this one, Windows Offline 64-bit. If you're running a standard 32-bit operating system, you're good to go with the standard agree and start free download. That will just install the 32-bit version by default. So install the right version of Java. It makes things a lot easier. If you install the wrong version, you'll make a real mess of things, and all your file associations get screwed up, and it's difficult to launch scripts and things. So don't install the wrong version. Okay, so assuming you've got Java installed okay, we're just going to load up the correlation tool now. So we've got a standard chart. Go to Indicators, select FXA Real-Time Correlation, drag it onto your chart. Go to the Common tab, make sure Allow DLL Imports is selected. Okay, that. Now you're probably going to get this delightful stuff. So you've got a little Java utility popping up here. It's saying this wants to create the missing ref file for you. So if you're smart, you'll install Java, when in fact you've got to install Java, because you won't have to run Statar V4.0 very well without Java. So if you don't see this, you haven't got Java installed properly. So click the checkbox saying build 600 or higher, put your unique reference number in and save the changes. You probably won't see this if you're an existing customer who's using standard FX Algo Trader products, because you've already got a ref file created. But if you haven't got any standard products, you'll have to go through this process, but it's dead simple. Once you've entered your unique reference number into the little license management utility, just change the time frame, and the system will pause for a second, query the license management system, and you're probably going to get something like this, which you're going to go, oh, this doesn't work, this is mad. But be cool, get rid of the grid, have a look at what the symbol suffix is, and in this case it's $$_SB. So go to the indicator external input parameters and just stick in _SB or whatever your symbol suffix is, click OK, and now that's populating nicely. If you see any missing data, just scroll through the time frames and make sure that's okay. To get rid of this line chart, go to line graph, go to properties and deselect line graph. So line graph is none, and if you don't like that line, just go to properties and get rid of the grid, no grid. Now I've got a clean correlation chart with real-time correlation coming up. So we're good to go with the next bit of the process. Open up a new chart. We're going to load Statar version 4.0. There's a template which comes with it. So go to charts, template, load template, and look for a template called Statar V4. Load that. Now you'll see this stuff saying no control file created in Java interface yet. Don't worry about that. That's cool. All we've got to do is load the interface to start with. So go to scripts and launch JFX interface. That will come up with this login screen. If the launch JFX interface won't work, you can also launch it from the data folder. Go to FXA JFX interface, double click that file, and it does the same thing. And there are other ways as well. If you get really stuck, sometimes if you install the wrong version of Java, it'll mess up your launch controls, where you often can't launch a jar file using double click. I don't know why it does it. It's a real mess. So make sure you install the right version of Java, because otherwise I can give you workarounds for it, but it's much easier to get the right version of Java installed from the get-go. So enter your unique reference number, enter your ID, click remember login details, because it will save you doing that each time. Right now, first time you do this, it will say no accounts have been set up. The system defaults to the installation folder, which is actually in this case the MT4 data folder, which is cool. That's exactly what we want in there. Sometimes, in fact, I won't complicate it. Just make sure that the MT4 data synchronization is the same as the MT4 data folder. So you can easily change this. You can add an MT4 account. You can add any number of MT4 accounts. So you can point this interface at multiple MetaTrader 4 environments and control them all from a single interface, which is really smart. But let's not worry about that for the time being. Let's just accept this MT4 data folder. You've got to get this right, guys. This is so important, because if you don't tell the Java program where your MT4 data folder is, you are firing, you're firing blanks. Nothing is going to happen. You won't be able to control the programs in MT4 properly, or in fact at all. So click done, and now the product catalog will come up. You can kind of get back to the data folder options in here easily. So that's cool. Now go to ARB systems and select Statar version 4.1 Opulent, and then this screen will come up. So minimize this or resize this to something fitting for your requirements. Move it down to somewhere like this, the bottom left hand corner. Now click on the chart anywhere on the active chart that you want to run an ARB on. And we also need to choose some pairs. So let's go back to our correlation indicator, and we're on the daily time frame. So let's do a euro yen, and there's a bug here actually, because the top symbol data is being masked because it's in black. So just change the background property of this chart to something a little bit lighter, and we'll now see those. I'll fix that. That's a bug. That shouldn't be a problem. So let's choose euro yen and dollar yen. So we go back to our arb chart, click on it again, make sure it's selected. So euro dollar, and then make sure this is the right chart, which it is. Arb setup. Enter the exact pair data, euro yen underscore SB, dollar yen underscore SB. Make sure if you're using your broker is quoting symbol suffix data that you're quoting it on the ARBs. Plus, make sure that you are using the minimum tradable lot size. So on this account, 1 lot is the minimum. So, and if you make changes to spinners, these are spinners where you can spin the value. If you make changes by entering data manually using the keyboard, press enter, the enter key after you've done it, because otherwise the changes won't be committed. Now, as soon as you do press enter, you'll see that this underlying chart populates, and just minimize that. You can minimize the interface anytime you like. Move it where you want, resize it, all the rest of it. And if you don't want to see it, just minimize it. And then it'll go down to the ribbon down here, and then you can just pick it up again. If you close it accidentally, the product catalog will pop back up, and you can just reopen it from here. So happy days, no drama there. Right, so let's have a look at this chart. So, okay, first of all, don't try and be a hero with this. You need to kind of get familiar with how it works first. So do some dummy trades, do some test trades on a demo account. You know, get familiar with it, make sure it works. If it doesn't work on the demo account and you're having problems, let me know. There could be a bug. This is you know, hot off the press, this product. I've tested it as best I can on these accounts here, which are symbol or suffix accounts and also standard accounts. But you may find a problem which I haven't found, and I'll fix it as soon as you find it. But please don't risk real money until you're happy. I can't emphasize that enough. Right, so how do we do a dummy trade, a setup trade, a basic trial trade? So let's just make sure that this data is populating properly. We're getting the data check is okay here. This label data is in our way. So there are 2 ways to fix that. We can either put a grid on this chart, a light colored grid, so something like that. We can just see that. Now we can see this little thing up here. We can move this little arrow or triangle and move the actual spread data away from the label data. The other way to do this is to physically move the label using the interface. So we can go down to color controls and we can change the x-axis position of the STD color label position here. So if I go to 1000, you'll see that data on the next tick will just shift over. There you go. So tick data came in and shifted the data across for us. Okay, now let's get something going on for a demo trade. So go to the M1 time frame. If you're getting a flat trace on M1, just zoom in a bit. So just make sure the traces are all displaying properly. If they're not, try scrolling through the time frames a few times. If that doesn't work, load the specific charts, so euro yen and dollar yen, and make sure all the broker data is properly on the charts. But for our test trade, we're going to go to M1 and wait for a second. It's got quite a lot of work to do here because it's pulling a lot of data on M1. So now you can see all our trend analysis is done. Just giving our trend data here so we can see what the trends are doing. Okay, go to your interface, go to trade controls. Now we're on M1, we want to trade off the M1 time frame. So say click on trade on time frame M1, activate that. So it'll only trade off the M1 time frame. Now we need to choose some trends. So notice what the spread is doing. Let's just make this window a bit smaller so we can see what's going on. The spread is generally falling on these lower time frames. But in order to get a dummy trade or a test trade, I want to substantially reduce the STD multiple to make sure the spread goes outside it, which is how we get triggers. So let's just change the STD multiple to 0.1, which is a tiny channel around this moving average. And you see that's now changed. So we've and what we also need to do, notice our trend is now mixed because we're trend filtering on H4 and D1. So what I want to do is I'm going to go for falling trend. So I'm going to choose M15 for my trend filter. And what will happen, as soon as this spread goes above this upper trigger level, we should get a trade. But there are a few things we need to check on. Is our entry method trigger touch? It is. So we're not using delayed entry. And you guys who are familiar with version 3 will know there's a delayed entry option here, which you don't want to use for testing. Also, don't trade stationary spreads for testing, and turn off trade positive potential only, because look, our reversion potential is negative because we've basically put the band so tight around the moving average. There is just virtually no potential in this trade at all. But it doesn't matter, we're testing. We're making sure the system will open and close trades. Also, make sure trade synthetic pair is selected if there is a synthetic pair. And you'll know there's a synthetic pair because you'll see it here, synthetic pair euro dollar underscore SB, which makes sense because that's basically what would happen if you traded euro yen and dollar yen simultaneously. Your effective position is euro dollar. So by trading a synthetic, okay, so we've got a trade. You see the dot? That indicates the trade's been placed. Press Control T to get to the terminal window. Now, I've had to make a change to the way that the order comments are logged, which is a bit of a shame really, but because I noticed that some MT4 accounts wouldn't allow you to have a really long order comment. So I've had to take the pair data off the order comment, which I think is going to be okay. I can't see any reason at the moment why that's going to be an issue. So we can see we've got ARB and then the chart where the ARB was triggered from. So euro dollar underscore SB and then 4 digits, 8037 in square brackets, which corresponds to the chart ID up here in the top left hand corner. Clearly we can see what the symbol is because it tells us here euro dollar underscore SB, which ties in here nicely. So for test purposes, it looks like we're up and running. That was a bit lucky, wasn't it, really? Our little test trade appears to have made us a whole 10 cents of profit. Because what happened, going into it, see, we noticed that we were in a short-term falling trend on the spread. We used a ridiculously tight 0.1 STD multiple, which gave us virtually nothing. But sure enough, the spread broke through that upper trigger level and then came down here again and then closed us out with a 0.1 lot. Sorry, 10 cents profit. It's doing the same thing again. It's trying to do another trade on the same basis. Clearly, guys, this is stupid in terms of risk because there's no point in risking more. You're going to lose more in the spread than you're going to make on these trades. It's just not worth it. So for real trading purposes, you want to be looking at widening these STD multiples so that you kind of doing something a bit more sensible. It's up to you how you guys configure the system. Obviously, the lower the time frames, the more sensitive the system is going to be to changes of trend. But obviously, you can align your trend filters accordingly. So if you see, if you're super conservative, if you only want to trade when everything is in the same direction, did it do the same thing again? Did we get another? Yeah, we did. We got 40 cents there. So it's just kind of going in and out and just basically taking advantage of these very, very minor short-term swings in the spread on this M1 chart. I think the beauty about the synthetic trading option in this system is the ability to obviously to halve the spread cost. The other thing that you want to think about as well, if you are using trend filtering, go to the STD controls and select reversion target opposite band, which will push the profit a little bit more. Again, it's not going to be that appreciable here because the actual channel, the trigger levels are so close to the channel. It's not funny. I think there might be a little bug on the correlation filter for traders using suffix accounts. I'm going to have a look at that right now and get that sorted, because I noticed that when I tried to pick up correlation data, it's grayed out on this account, and that's because that's a bug. So I need to get that sorted out. Okay, you see that again? We saw another very short-term trade there where spread picked up and we just made another 50 cents there. So please don't get excited by this very short-term profiteering from spreads. This spread could go against us anytime. Noticed it's rising on M30, H1 and H4. It's falling on D1, but if this spread turns around, you could get, all of those little tiny profits you've made there could get lost. So be careful. Make sure if you are going to start doing very short-term trading on these M1 timeframes, that the higher timeframes are all aligned in the same direction. You just want to be in strong trends if you're going to start doing this. But for test purposes, this is just a good way of just checking the system out, make sure it's running okay. So there you go. That's the 4.0 Opulent and the correlation tool